Haitham, thanks so much for taking the time to jump on with us here. Really appreciate you taking this time out of your day. Please introduce us to Tennibot and yourself, and how did this all come to be?
Thanks, Brendan, for having me. My name is Haitham Eletrabi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tennibot. Tennibot was born out of frustration. I was getting tired of picking up tennis balls. I started playing a little bit as a kid, and then I stopped playing, and then I got back to it again when I was doing my undergrad. And I started getting really into it. Started playing tennis, volunteering for tennis events, sat on the local tennis boards. I started training and getting some amateurs players into the sport. All my times, whenever I wasn't working or doing research, I was out on the court playing. But then the most frustrating part of the sport for me was always picking up those balls, whether it is after practicing with a ball machine or practicing serve or taking a tennis lesson. End up spending a good chunk of your time, anywhere from 20 to 30% of your time picking up balls instead of actually hitting them. And this was very frustrating for me. So one day, after renting a ball machine and hitting with it, I thought, okay, I can't do this anymore. There must be a solution out there. And I started doing research and trying to buy something. I didn't want to invent something. I wanted to buy something initially, but there was nothing out there. So I kept trying to look for something remotely close to what I was envisioning, but there was nothing. So I started tinkering around with a prototype for myself. And this is how Tennibot was born.
Haitham, that's really interesting, and we really do see that some of the best inventions are driven out of kind of that personal necessity and the relation with your own hobbies and activities that you're doing. I'm curious, who all is this for? Who's the end user of Tennibot?
Great question. So you have two sides to this equation. The one is obviously individuals, anyone who take tennis lessons, anyone who's always trying to improve their game on tennis ball machine and practice serve, trying to weekend warrior who go play in the weekend, whether in leagues or tournaments, consistent league player who's always signing up and trying to have fun on the court. Those are obviously all find value in Tennibot because of the value add for them. Every time they practice, they get much more value, and their experience on the court is significantly better because you took out the most tedious part of the experience for them. And then on the other side of the equation, clubs, academies, resorts, coaches, all of those see the value add from it, just because of the time, whether it's time savings for their members or the students, or it is the efficiency increase on the court because now they can turn over the court much faster, or finally offer it as a value add and differentiator to their members and their students. Because suddenly, why would you go take a lesson with someone who make you pick up balls while the other one give you way more value for your buck and make the lesson way more fun as well?
That makes total sense. All right, I got you. With all startups, there's a number of different challenges. I'm curious for you, what was keeping you up at night that eventually led you to come over and begin working with coLAB?
I think up until that point, we didn't do any actual marketing or sales. It was fairly organic, the product, since we launched the website and folks would come over and try to place an order. Doesn't we have a backlog? Let's wait. We're not ready to ship yet. And so this was definitely a good place to be. But at the same time, we wanted to have a better understanding of what's our detailed customer. We had a good sense of the customer persona, as I mentioned, but having a detailed, drilled down version of the customer persona is something we needed. Better understanding of what would be the perspective on the marketing approach, the channel, the messaging. And this is when we approached coLAB because we wanted to have a better understanding of this detailed, drilled down customer persona.
And then there's so many different things that I imagine we could have worked on at this point. Mm-hmm. What were some of the tactics that were most impactful for you that we helped with?
A couple of things. First, coLAB started by doing an audit for all our materials, so far as the website, all the information about the Tennibot, the messaging, how are we positioning the product. Started looking into gaps and opportunities, areas, things that will be provide a value add for anyone visiting the website or potential customer. They started talking to existing customers and getting their feedback on the product. What do they like? What they don't like? Trying to understand what is the big pain points of the product itself. Was it time? Was it efficiency? Was it the cool effect? Was it the ability to hit more balls? Or is it the ability to have a better session with their coach? And drilling and distilling all this knowledge in order to be able to define a detailed customer persona. they worked with us in understanding the target audience needs, the behaviors, and then started developing basically a go-to-market plan that we can actually go out and start testing different channels and different marketing.
We know that the go-to-market plan really does shape how a company then takes off. I'm curious, what have been some of the lasting impacts since we had worked together?
A lot of lessons we learned. First of all, understanding okay, and this is something obviously common sense, but knowing that how this applies to us, that not all marketing channels are equal and which channels work for our specific use case, for our specific customer. The social media messaging, what you put for an ad is different from what you put for a post. The speed of the website have a significant impact on retention and a bounce off the website. The warming up emails before you do any kind of email marketing and how it make a difference between landing in someone's spam folder versus landing in someone's actual inbox. Optimizing the marketing spend, testing different content, different creatives, defining the audience when you're doing your meta ads versus you're doing your actual outreach. So there is a ton of knowledge and a ton of things we learned from this experience and how it kind of helped us shape our outreach and our marketing spend as we move forward in the future, as we deliver more and more of the backlog and start actually taking orders. So definitely was super helpful.
And Haitham, early stage companies are ever changing, right? Would love to know, what are some of the significant milestones or achievements that you might have faced in this past year that's now shaped your vision for the future?
Definitely shipping our largest batch of Tennibot to date was a significant milestone for us. It allowed us to clear a lot of this backlog and get us in a good place where we actually start shipping the customer within 5 to 6 weeks of placing an order versus having to wait months for an order. We still have some backlog we are finishing up over the summer, and hopefully afterwards we should be able to ship in even a quicker turnaround time frame. So that was big for us because it allowed us also to focus our attention into getting ready to scale, start working with larger scale manufacturers, assemblers, getting this basically drill down on, you're no longer working on improving the product, you're more working on how do you streamline the assembly process, streamline the time from placing an order for the material and supplies to actually getting it into the product into a customer's hand. So it shifted our mentality this last being able to get most of this backlog out of the way. So definitely was a big thing for us.
And as you've been doing this research over the past year or two, have you noticed any sort of emerging trends or new technologies out in the industry that you think might impact the business over the next, say, 2 to 3 years?
Definitely. So, we are thinking more from a marketing standpoint or from a Tennibot robotics AI standpoint?
Really both. Anything that sticks out to you as being
Sure.
something that's going to catapult or propel into a new phase?
Sure. From a specific company standpoint, robotics and AI, I think part of it, obviously robotics is becoming more and more mainstream. We see a lot of buzz around robotics company. Back in the day, it used to be like one robotic video that will go viral for a little bit and then disappear and people go back to business. Now there's a lot of excitement, especially with all the development happening with AI and the chatbots and OpenAI and getting all of this. People started connecting the dots. Oh, wow, actually you can start putting some of this technology and some of those robotics, and suddenly you're actually having something no longer sci-fi. Even though it's a little bit hyped, the robotics cycle, but I think it's definitely seeing a lot of speed, a lot of progress, whether not just in academia or research lab, but even go to market and lots of products. Obviously, Tennibot is a clear example of a robotics product using AI to solve a specific and real problem for folks. So having this kind of defined use case and you getting that excitement among mainstream about robotics and AI helps with getting more and more customer adoption, and hopefully open up the door for a lot of other companies, a lot of other startups to come in and solve different problems for customers using robotics and AI. So definitely this excitement is something we have been enjoying noticing and basically keeping track of and seeing how is that mainstream attitude towards this kind of technology is becoming now much more acceptable and much more understandable for the regular tennis player or regular customer in general.
Absolutely. Haitham, something that we like to do is this loop question, where we ask the founder before you to leave a question, then for you to answer. So the question that was left for you was, how do you personally try to keep a healthy balance between your work, your personal life, and your own growth? Any small challenges that you're thinking about that might impact or make it a bit easier on yourself?
It's a good question. Honestly, for me personally, I'm very passionate about the tennis, and I'm very excited about the problem we are solving. And I'm lucky in the sense that the problem we're solving is a fun problem. So it's enjoyable. Let's put it this way: every time you go out to the court to do Tennibot testing, you are still having a good time. You are hitting, you're recording data, you're practicing, you are getting the shots out of the way. So definitely fortunate to be working on such a cool problem and a great team. Working with a good team and people you like and you enjoy being around makes it feel less like work, and you are like going to hang out, but productively. You are doing something useful, you are getting stuff done, but you're also hanging out with people you enjoy their company and being around. So I think that's big part of it. So that's why I think for me, I don't try to balance it. It's like overall so far I've been enjoyable experience. Say. Obviously, there's ups and downs for every startup, but in the grand scheme of things, definitely feel fortunate.
That's awesome. Your startup sounds like a really fun place to work.
Thank you, sir.
Now, we'd love to pass it over to you too to leave a question for the next person that we'll be interviewing.
I would say, what is one action you made in the last 2 years that have the biggest impact on your startup bottom line?
I love it. Haitham, thank you again. So excited to see the future for Tennibot. We look forward to speaking with you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.